Hello. Bonjour, bonsoir, presque. My name is Steiner. I'm a developer relations engineer from Google's Chrome team. I am from Germany originally, studied in Karlsruhe, then moved to Grenoble, so went to NCMAG, studied there for a while, and now live in Barcelona, beautiful city. When I say Barcelona, it's not really Barcelona. It's a really small village outside in the middle of nowhere, close to Barcelona, close to Girona. And today I'm here to talk to you about built-in AI APIs in Chrome. And likely you, preparing this conference, went to the website and you browsed the talk. You chose this one. Thanks for being here. And yeah, you were reading this text and you were wondering, yeah, like, sounds interesting, but what is this all about? And I decided I'm just going to show you. I'm not going to preach, I'm actually going to show you what this is about. So I did something that most people are really good at. I just stole. So I just went to the website and stole it. So this is the website as it was. And here is my infringed copy of it. But you can see it's also enriched. Let me zoom in a bit on the different parts that we have here. So we have the headline. We have my bio. In the original, let's actually zoom into the same level. In the original, it was kind of short, but you will see in a second why I made it longer. So you can read about me. There is my talk abstract. That's essentially the same. But then if you go down, you will see, oh, there's two buttons now. There's one that says traduire en français, and there's another one that says key points. Well, traduire en français makes a lot of sense because, well, vous êtes français, je suis allemand. This is written in English, but yeah, likely we would rather see this in French if you're French people because it's just a little easier. So, well, this is the original, but then there's this magic button that I press, and you can see it magically translates the abstract into, I hope, pretty decent French. So to me, as a non-native speaker who has studied in France, it felt okay, like I could get the gist. And you're like, yeah, we have seen this. There's APIs for this. There's Google Translate. There's DeepL. There's a bunch of other APIs. But this is happening right in the browser. So if I open the DevTools, and let me zoom in DevTools as well. So here's the network tab. So if you go and reload this, you can see there's a whole bunch of resources loading. So let's just reset, make us space, and then press the button, and there's no network request. So it's all happening locally in the browser. And some of you, maybe all of you, are Generation TikTok. So that's a very long paragraph. What? You want me to read a paragraph of text? This is really long. Can you just give me the key points? And turns out, if you press the button, you can. So here you can see these are the key points. This is the summary of this talk digested into 3 bullet points for Generation TikTok. So you don't have to read an entire paragraph of text. So that's great, right? And again, if you look at the right-hand side, there's no network request. So this is not calling into some Gemini API or ChatGPT OpenAI API or something. This is just happening right on the browser. But it's also different from what you may have seen in the talk right before this one, Nico's talk. This is not happening based on some Hugging Face model or like a large language model that you needed to manually download. This is happening based on a model that is built into Chrome that you don't have to take care of downloading yourself. It is just already there. Well, and then finally, there's this text box down there. So it's a little hard because, well, there's a lot of text in here. So let me maybe just close DevTools again. So we have the bio here. We have the talk abstract. And then we have this ask anything about the speaker or session. So for example, there's a proposal here. Does the speaker have a blog? So if we go back to the extended bio, you can see that, well, it says here he blogs at blog.tomyak.com, and there's a Mastodon handle as well. And then, of course, we have the original, let's just refresh. We have the original talk abstract here. So let's ask something about this. So is the speaker on social media? Question mark. And you can see the thing responds, yes, according to the provided information, Thomas Steiner is active on social media. He blogs at blog.tomyak.com and posts as, and then you can see the handle here. So that's pretty cool. I can ask more things. I can say like, what is this talk going to cover? Well, and then you can see, well, it gives me a pretty decent description of the talk. I can ask more things. I can say like, what qualifies the speaker for giving this talk? Question mark. Thomas Steiner is exceptionally well qualified. Oh my God. So yes, I'm exceptionally well qualified. So you can see it makes use of the information that is available on the page. But there is more. So I can ask the model, does the speaker look like a nice guy? Question mark. And it starts responding. It's impossible to definitely say whether someone looks like a nice guy, blah, blah, blah. However, based solely on the image provided, Thomas Steiner appears to have a relaxed and friendly demeanor. He's smiling, and his expression doesn't suggest any negativity. So, wait, does this thing actually know how I look like? So this is the picture here. And let's ask it something like, does the speaker like hats? Question mark. Based on the image, it appears, yes, the speaker does like hats. He's wearing a baseball cap in the picture. So you can see the model understands the picture. The model is multimodal capable. So it can see things, it can read and sort of understand things. You can see I could ask it questions like, is the speaker qualified? And it would make sense of, oh, qualification means, well, some sort of education. It means some sort of maybe even academic background, blah, blah, yada, yada. And it would respond. I could ask it, hey, does the speaker like hats? And it was reasoning like, oh, the speaker is wearing a hat in the picture, so likely the speaker likes hats, which is true. I also need them because I get sunburned really easily. So, well, this is pretty powerful. And you can see this is built into the web page that I stole from DevFest. So pardon me if there's any copyright. If you look at the URL, I at least put it under my throwaway repository. So I'm likely going to throw it away at some point if someone yells at me. So how does all of this work? And, well, because it's in my throwaway folder, I didn't really make any effort in cleaning the code base. This is something Next.js. So I was looking at it like, oh, that looks kind of complicated, and I can't just statically copy it. There needs to be a server side and blah. So I was happy once I got it loading and removed a whole bunch of things, like everything dynamic, everything JavaScript, because that's not what I needed. So I just needed this to show you the features in action. So we've seen the translation feature, we've seen the summarization feature, we've seen the prompt API that was reacting to the text, that was reacting to the image. And, well, how does all of this work? For this, I built a very reduced test case, and it's over here. So it's sort of the same, but a little trimmed down. And actually, this is the main landing page, so you will see there's 4 steps that we can use. Let's start with the basic step. So it has my bio, it has the same ask me anything. So we can still say like, does this guy have a blog? And yes, according to the information, Thomas Steiner parenthesis Tom, blocks at blah, and then you can see I'm not even rendering the markdown here, which I did in the other demo. This is really meant to be as simple as possible. And if you want to scan one QR code, it's, well, not this one. Let's go to the main landing page. It's this one. Because this is for explaining all the things. So you can just start here and then slowly make your way through it. So let's go to the basic page. And remember, I showed you a bunch of APIs. There was translation, there was summarization, and there was the freeform prompt API. The first two, translation and summarization, I can actually just show you in DevTools because they're super simple. So let me fire up DevTools here, go to the console, and very briefly talk you through the implementation here. So we have the bio here, so I will work with the bio. It has the ID bio. So if you go here and say like bio, this is the thing. Okay, and we can get the text from the bio by accessing bio inner text, and you can see I get the text here. Okay, so with that, if you want to translate something, well, you have a target language. You want it in French, but we need to know what is the original source language, and for this, we have an API in the browser now, which is the language detector. So let me just create one. Const lang detect equals await language detector dot create. And then I have the language detector, and then I can destroy it again. Woohoo. I can run detect, which looks very promising. And then I can just give it, as before, bio.innerText. And this is all async, so I need to await the result. And it gives me back an array. And if I expand this, you can see the first entry in this array is detected language English, which is correct, with a confidence of, well, more than 99%. So you can see where this is heading. Now I have the detected language, so I can use that to give my translator the source language. So let's actually do this. So we can now just store this. Const source language equals, and then we need this, and we need the first array entry, and we need the detected language. So source language, yeah, it's EN now. So remember, source language is EN. And now we need a translator. And you will soon see the pattern here. So const translator equals a wait translator dot create. And now I need to provide it the source language and the target language. Target language is French, and source language is EN. So I'm just being lazy here. Well, actually, let's make it proper so it's easier to follow if you don't know the syntax like that. And now we have a translator that is from the source language, which was English, to French. So let's actually look at this translator that we have now. So again, we can destroy it. We have some input quota, which is infinity. So in theory, it can handle as much as you throw at it. And then, well, somewhere down there, we have the translate function, which is something that looks very promising. So it's also async, so translator.translate, and then we give it something like hello world, like that. And it says bonjour le monde. So it's translating. And we can, of course, combine this with the bio, so bio.innerText. And then we get the translation here. And you can see this was blazing fast. If we very quickly go back to what we had here, you can see this is streaming. So it's going sentence by sentence and building up the translation here. Here, it probably doesn't even make sense to do this, but just so you know, there is a translate streaming method as well, which gives us a stream equals this. And then we can just say for a weight const chunk of stream, console.log chunk. Oh my God, junk, if I know how to spell. Okay, so this should hopefully work. Yes. And then you can see how, well, it was lightning fast, but at this page you could see how it was really slowly building up the text. Well, slowly. But you can see it's translating slowly, step by step, sentence by sentence, the text here. So that's the two first APIs that I wanted to show you, language detection and translation. But I promised you also the summarizer API. And it's similar to all the others. So again, I told you you will pretty soon discover the pattern. So it's const summarizer equals a wait summarizer.create. And then we have a summarizer. It yells at me because I didn't give it the expected languages. It's just a warning, so it will, for now, assume that it's English. And then we can await summarizer.summarize my bio.inner text. And after a moment, it always has a little bit of a cold start problem, but here we go. You can see it's responding in Markdown. It's kind of hard to see here, but like there's a first bullet point. Here is new line, and then a second bullet point. So if you render this in Markdown, it appears, yeah, like that. So pretty digestible, and yeah, you can see how this can be useful. Okay, these were the first two big APIs, so translation, which consists of translator and language detector, and then summarizer as the second API. For the third API, the prompt API, it's a little bit more involved, simply because there's more things that we can do here. So for this, let me actually move to DevTools here and show this ready-made. So first, it's the same as before. So we can, who is this? And then it will respond with, yeah, this is Thomas Steiner, yada, yada, yada. Do the LLM thing, tell me about the information that it has learned. So how does this work? Well, inside of this, and now I really struggle with the screen real estate because I need to zoom in everywhere. So here we have a little app, well, app, as simple as that. So we have a form, we have an input, and we have an output. The input is this, the output is what you see down there. And then we have the form that surrounds the thing. So we add an event listener on submit, we prevent the default. And then we get the prompt, which is just the input value. If there's nothing, after trimming, we return, we're done, there's nothing. But if there is something, we reset the inner HTML of the output to nothing. And then for the prompt API to work, we have the same pattern as before, await language model.create, just like before, summarizer.create, language detector.create, translator.create, and so on. And then we have expected inputs, which is an array, in this case, type text, and then languages, an array, in this case, just of English. Expected outputs, exactly the same. So we're outputting text, and the languages we're expecting are English. And then we have this initial prompt, which is a system prompt. And in it, I'm telling the thing that it is a helpful general assistant with special knowledge about a person called Thomas Steiner, me, myself. And then I just pass it the inner HTML from here. So just like before, the inner text of the bio here. So in my system prompt, I make the prompt API aware of the subject, which is me. And then in the rest, I just do what I did before. So this is also very similar. If you just follow the translation example, we have the language model. Instead of translate streaming, now I call prompt streaming, passing it the prompt that I have generated from the input. And then I just iterate chunk by chunk over the responses, the tokens that get generated by the model, and then it's shown here. So that's pretty easy. That's basic. OK, so what can we do next? Well, if you go back one level, there's something called JSON schema. So why is this useful? Because, well, the LLM thing does, by default, the LLM thing. So if I ask the thing, does Tom have a blog, question mark, it says true now. It doesn't say like, yeah, based on information given, blah, blah, blah. It seems like Thomas Steiner has a blog. So if I just want a true or false response, how do I do this? Well, with a response constraint. So we can just constrain the model and say like, hey, I want you to respect a given JSON schema or a regular expression in your response. So we can do this here with a response constraint. The simplest JSON schema is just type Boolean, and then everything is the same except for here at the prompt stage, prompt streaming, I pass in the response constraint, and then you can see I force the model to just respond with true or false. So that's useful. Next, we have multimodal. So we can make the model aware of the image. So I can say here, like, where was this taken? Taken, question mark. And then it says, based on the image, it appears this photo was taken on a beach. The presence of sand, water, blah, blah. So you can see it actually, again, looks into the image, makes sense of it. So how does this work? Well, it's slightly more complex. We need a reference to the image here. And then in our prompt, we need to say it, hey, by the way, now you also need to expect image apart from text. And, well, expected inputs is now text and image. And outputs is the same. System prompt is the same. But now in my prompt, I'm passing it also the image file. So if I now run the same, well, you can see how it works with the image. And then finally, in the last step, I can just combine everything and have this classifier where I have the image and I have the Boolean constraint. So I can say like, does this guy like, hats? Hats, question mark. And then it tells me true. So I just combined all those things into one super simple classifier. In this case, well, does the person like something, look like is positioned somewhere, was this taken at the beach, whatever. And you can see how this can be useful. So in the real world, if you have something like you need to upload, for example, a passport, you can use this as a pre-classifier and say like, hey, does this image look like there's a passport? Or is there a person in this image? Yes or no? So you can see how this can be useful. And that's a bunch of APIs that we on the Chrome team are putting into the browser based on a model that we have put into the browser called Gemini Nano. And you can read up all about those APIs at our documentation at developer.chrome.com. And that's the last QR code that I also would encourage you to scan. And with that, I think we are completely out of time. I think I went 3 minutes over, so very sorry for that. Thank you very much for listening. I hope this was fun. I hope you learned something. And I hope you can use this for your next application. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.